I'm here at World Horse Welfare and I was lucky enough to interview Pippa Funnell at her yard about her Tilly series of books.
So first of all I'm going to introduce you to these, I should say old boys now. Mayor's Hope, Hopey, we call him Hopey Dopey. He's not dopey at all, but he's just had a brand new pair of Gucci shoes on. I don't know where Ralph Renison, who shoes them, is, but so he was obviously 10th at badminton this year. He went very well in cope with the mud cross country. He's actually still on holiday, so he's having a well-earned holiday, so he looks a little bit scruffy. Emily here, come out Emily. This is Emily, who's in charge of everything, very much takes care of all the ponies and looks after them. And then this is Phil, Billy Walk-on, we call him Phil. He's just got back from hacking with me. He also went to badminton, but unfortunately he sort of had a little hiccup and his jockey decided to walk home and call it a day and thought we'll go somewhere else. So he's ticking over and we're making plans for where he's going to go, but he's all good. So he's been out hacking this morning, trotted up the hills, doing fitness work, and he'll be going out into the field in a minute. So this side of the yard, as you can see, it's completely empty. It's only empty because they all, or three of them were competing yesterday down at Bicton in Devon, and I had good rides on them, but they're having a day off in the field. Bank holiday Monday, they're allowed a day off. We don't get a day off. So they're all having a lovely morning, enjoying the field. And then this side, some have been out already, but they've been worked. And these are all home, they're all part of the Billy stud. They're show jumpers as opposed to eventers, so we keep the eventers that side, the show jumpers that side. We have Billy Santorini, who's a 7-year-old, the gentle giant Billy Kodak, who's very big, but very much part of the family. Shuffle, who's about to be exercised. Lily does a lot of the work with all of them, and Rosie, when I'm away competing, it's absolutely essential that I have a good backup team. So it's absolutely not about me. I cannot cope without these guys. And then that's Billy Monfassa. So we have Shuffle and Monfassa, and then that's one out in the field, Boss. So we've got various horses out in the little paddocks. So it's quite a small yard. I have outside the chestnut horse there. We have Redesigned, who looks very bright and is retired, and then a younger horse, Billy Flip Flop.
These books are fantastic. I couldn't put them down. What made you want to write stories for children instead of adults?
I found when I was out hacking and doing a lot of the fitness work, and when I was driving the lorry, I did a long trip down to Pau, right down at the bottom of France, and I started thinking, and all these thoughts and ideas came into my head, and that's how it all happened, really. Yeah, I was literally looking down driving, and I suddenly thought, oh, I have this horsehair bracelet on that was made very sadly. A horse I used to ride was lost to colic. He died from colic with his owner, and they braided some of they got some jewellery made out of his tail, and that gave me the idea of the horsehair bracelets, and then it sort of grew from there.
Your books are really good at telling a lovely story whilst giving hints and tips to people who love horses about how to handle them properly. Was this something you did on purpose?
Yes, very much so. I thought it was a great way to try and sort of hopefully educate children, that when they hopefully enjoyed the stories, they actually, without realising it, learnt at the same time. So I did want to get that message across.
Why did you make Poor Horse Welfare a theme in your first book about magic spirit?
I wanted her to have a sort of this affinity with horses, and I thought it just made sense to start it off that she had this sort of effect on rather a wild, untamed, untrained or horse, and that was how the story began. And I think it sort of the whole thing evolved, and I thought it was a good message to put across, and what I wanted to show in the book, how with the right treatment, trust that horses, even wild or horses that have lost confidence, you know, treat them in the right way with kindness and love, and treat them well, they will really be so rewarding.
You say on your website, we must ensure horse welfare is the forefront of everything we do. What does that mean to you?
The most important thing to me above anything else is that my horses and the horses I deal with are happy horses. And that is absolute key, and I'm the greatest believer in the partnership that I form with my horses, and that obviously is the way you treat them, handle them, train them. So it's not just about riding them well. You know, you can be the best rider in the world, but it's still to me about, you know, I'm that little girl that dreamt about ponies, ate, slept, breathed ponies, and 50 years on, I'm still that little girl in there. You know, I live, sleep, breathe horses, and they are absolutely my life. And absolutely the most important thing, as I said, is they're happy. And to keep them happy, they have to be happy in their work. They have to be happy in their environment, the way you look after them. And I think, and I will say, in this day and age, I think it's very important we remember that I might put a clip of my horses in the stables and people might get the wrong idea thinking they're in stables 24/7, but actually they're not. You know, it's a lovely sunny day, they're all going to get turned out. So you know, it's very easy to get the wrong impression just from one clip on a social media post. But yeah, absolutely, they've got to be happy, and I really feel my horses are.
In your second book, you focus on Red Admiral, who is a racehorse. Racing is very different to eventing. Why did you choose to concentrate on a completely different discipline?
I just in my head thought I want to have a different type of horse for each book, a different story about another horse who's something completely different from the first one. And so it's trying to cover all aspects, and one of the things that I covered, yes, it was the racehorse, but as much as anything it was the whole rehab, about how patient you have to be and bringing horses back if they have an injury, that there's no shortcut, there's no hurry, and if you spend that time then it could well come right. And that was the story I wanted to put across.
It takes a whole book and a few chapters before Tilly actually gets her first ride. Why did you decide that Tilly wasn't going to be a rider straight away?
You know, I didn't get straight on a pony. You know, yes, I've always been surrounded. My mother had, you know, she had a horse or looked after a horse for someone, and I think, you know, in this day and age too, you know, it's as much about the loving your pony, and she wasn't in a situation, and there are a lot of kids out there that aren't in that situation, that haven't got a land at home, they haven't got a pony, you know. So it was very much Tilly didn't have a pony. There wasn't a situation where she went, she could just be plonked on a pony, but she got to feel the love by just being involved and around the horses and ponies. And I think that was another message, that you can still love it, absolutely love it, and you needn't necessarily ride. And yes, by her doing more and more, she then earned sort of that ride.
It seems as though Tilly is naturally accepted by horses and has a special way with them, even though her family aren't that interested, although we think her birth mother might be. Do you think it's possible in real life?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's how you are. I mean, I think I definitely don't think I was ever taught that. I've always been, whether it's with my dogs, whether it's with any animal, I absolutely love any animal, and I would like to think even in my competition, with my competition hat on and what I've achieved, I absolutely hold up my hand and I've never thought of myself as the best rider in the world at all, not at all, and I'm all the time learning. But one thing I will always say that was been one of my strongest points is I try and get into my dogs' heads and I try and get into my horses' heads, and they're all individuals like we're individuals, and I think you have to think that way and you learn to read and judge horses, and I really believe that they know when you think they're good, you know, even if they're not, if you put your trust in them, and I really think they know that, and it's something right from a young age. I just absolutely loved that whole side of it, that sort of communicating, and probably I'm daft as anything, but that I sort of. So do I think Tilly is me? I tried not to make Tilly me, but probably a lot of Tilly is me, but also Angela, the main coach, you know, who runs Silver Shoe. I sort of think, well, how she teaches is how I would teach. So probably there's a bit of me in various characters in the book.
What do you think is the best way to build a special bond with a horse?
If I say love, 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 then you know you mustn't spoil them, because they could walk all over you. But at the same time, you do it in a way that they respect you, which is probably a bit like you if you don't want to go to school. You've got to actually convince them that actually in the best interests, you know, for you, it is the best thing for you to go to school. So I've got to persuade you that for you, the best thing is to go to school, because you'll learn and that will help you in the future, blah, blah, blah. And it's the same sort of thing. And you know, we say we can't speak to horses, but you really can communicate with them, really can. But it's all in the book anyway, it's just maybe highlighted.
Tilly and Becky have some tricky moments in your books. Why did you make Tilly's best friend have different interests from Tilly?
Well, I think it's important to remember that we can get very consumed if you like that. I'm that pony mad girl, and I've been pony mad and horse mad all my life, and I even to this day, you know, my whole life and my husband's life, William's life, is absolutely about the horses. But sometimes it's still important to remember your family and close friends that will be there for you if something happens, and those close friends might not have the same interests. So it can't be just about you and your horses. It's still about being friends, and they might not have the same interests, and you mustn't forget that they're still going to be there to help you and pick you up if you're down.
I think one of my favourite parts of Red Admiral was the surprise party for Tilly. Have you ever had a party thrown for you like that?
I did have a surprise party thrown for me in 1999, after I won the European Championships, and it was a surprise party, and it was held down at our local pub, and it was a wonderful party.
Which one of your horses do you think you would let dress up in party hats?
Do you know what? The sad thing is, I think most of them will be fine, because often at Christmas we're always doing silly things like putting gloves on their ears, and so we're quite silly with them, and they do, yeah.
What were you thinking about when you were standing on the Olympic podium?
Pride and relief, huge relief, because especially like when we went to Sydney, it was a long time ago, way before you were born, but it was a big thing, because we were in training for 2 weeks here, in quarantine for 2 weeks there before the competition even started. So the whole trip was pretty much sort of, well, it was a good 6 weeks we were away from home for. And to fly the horses the other side of the world, that was nerve-wracking, you know, when your horse has never flown before, and I'm thinking, and we didn't fly with them, and you're thinking, I remember lying in the bed thinking, oh my God, you know, I wonder how they are. But they flew. I mean, I purposely put a bit more weight on. I took a horse, Supreme Rock, and he had more weight on, and then when I got there, because I thought he would lose weight on the flight, and I arrived in Australia and he put on weight. But it was a relief that everything had gone right and the horses had done their job and they were happy, well, and again, as much as anything, to get them back here and out. It was very, 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 very special, and I think it would be very sad if the Olympics was, you know, equestrian. Well, equestrian's got to stay in the Olympics because it's what the dreams are.
Do you ever just go for a fun hack when you're not thinking about the next competition?
I'm always going for fun hacks, always. One of my favourite things is this time of year, first thing in the morning, going off hacking on my own up the hills, and it's beautiful sand tracks, you see the deer, you see the wildlife, and it's one of my favourite things to do.
You have supported World Horse Welfare for practically your whole riding career. Can you tell me why you like this charity so much?
Well, I mean, it's such a world-renowned charity for the job it does in all areas of horse welfare, from the educating point of view and throughout the world. I mean, and I think it's very easy for us to think about horses just in this country, and for sure there's a lot of lack of education, for sure. I mean, in this country, obviously, we talk about neglected horses or horses that are overweight. You know, obviously, it's a worry with the financial situation that some horses, you know, people end up being desperate, and so the work they do in this country, rehoming, is unbelievable. Then you have cases like the transporting of horses across Europe for slaughter. I know it's not a very nice thing to discuss to young people, but so much work has been done to improve the situation. I've discussed about the lorry and how well they're travelled, but you know, it's a tough thing when some of these horses are transported across Europe for slaughter. So they've done amazing work to stop that, or to certainly make the situation greatly improve for horses. And then obviously, you know, throughout the world there are countries where horses are their livelihood. They depend on that, and they live for their horses, and they haven't got the money to put them in good tack or whatever. So there's enormous work to help the welfare issues abroad as well.